Beneath the rolling hills of Midmere lay the ancient tower of Nightveil, a place whispered about in tavern tales but rarely spoken of in earnest. It was here that Finnan, a nimble and clever halfling rogue, found himself in pursuit of the ultimate prize, a key rumoured to unlock deeper mysteries of the world below. Armed with a dagger, a few smoke bombs, and his sharp wits, Finnan crept into the dungeon's dark maw. He had heard stories of Scarhold's dangers, traps, deadly creatures, and the notorious orc chieftain, Gromak, who ruled over the lower levels with an iron fist. But where others saw only danger, Finnan saw opportunity. The narrow tunnel opened into a sprawling chamber, the walls slick with damp moss and the air thick with the smell of mould and ancient stone. Finnan moved cautiously, his sharp eyes scanning for traps. The faintest glimmer caught his attention. A thin wire stretched just inches above the floor, leading to a mechanism hidden within the stonework. Smirking, Finnan knelt beside it, his deft fingers working quickly. With a quiet snip, the wire was severed, rendering the trap useless. A pitfall, no doubt. He'd seen enough of them in his time as a burglar in the cities of Midmere. But this was different. The stakes were higher now. He wasn't after mere coin or jewels. No, the prize awaiting him at the bottom of this tower could change his fate forever. As he pressed onward, the dungeon's labyrinthine passages began to twist and descend. The flickering light from his small lantern danced across the walls, casting long shadows in the corners of his vision. Each step took him deeper into the heart of the dungeon, where he knew Gromak's brutish warriors patrolled. He passed a narrow alcove, and just as he did, a low growl stopped him in his tracks. A hulking warg padded into view, its massive form blocking the passage ahead. Finnan froze, knowing that a single misstep could lead to disaster. Wargs had keen senses, but they were prone to distraction. The passage was too narrow to fight or flee. He reached into his pouch and produced a small bit of dried meat, a trick he had used many times to outwit guard dogs and other beasts. With a soft whistle, he tossed the meat into the shadows opposite the warg. The creature's ears perked up, its glowing eyes shifting away from Finnan as it padded over to the bait. Silent as a shadow, Finnan slipped by, barely daring to breathe until the beast was out of sight. Ahead, he found the first signs of Gromak's minions. Orcish carvings adorned the walls, crude symbols of conquest and strength etched into the stone. He could hear the heavy footsteps of an orc patrol in the distance. Pressing himself against the wall, Finnan waited for the perfect moment. 3 orcs lumbered past, talking in their guttural tongue, their weapons dragging along the floor. Finnan exhaled softly, moving again. He knew he was getting close. The next chamber was a sight to behold. A vast, high-ceilinged hall lined with towering stone statues of ancient kings. At its centre was an ornate circular door, sealed with a heavy iron lock. A faint blue glow emanated from within, illuminating the room with an eerie light. This, surely, was the entrance to the lower levels, where the key to Gromak's hoard awaited. But as Finnan approached the door, his instincts screamed at him. He scanned the room, quickly spotting a series of pressure plates embedded in the floor. The slightest weight would trigger a barrage of arrows from the statues above. Finnan crouched low, examining the plates. With a practiced eye, he traced the paths between them, marking the safe spots. With a deep breath, he moved, step by step, lightly as a cat on a windowsill. One false step, and he knew it would be the end. His heart pounded in his chest, but his hands were steady. Reaching the door, he retrieved his tools. The lock was intricate, far more complicated than anything he had encountered before, but Finnan thrived on challenge. His fingers moved with precision, feeling each delicate click as the tumblers fell into place. After what felt like an eternity, the final click sounded and the door creaked open. The cool draft of the lower levels hit him, carrying with it the scent of damp earth. Finnan grinned. He was close. Gromak and the key to the next level were somewhere ahead, but the real challenge was yet to come. With a final glance back at the statues, Finnan disappeared into the shadows once more, descending deeper into the depths. As he descended deeper, the air grew heavier, filled with the stench of sweat and iron. This was the realm of Gromak. The final chamber loomed before him, a massive door adorned with crude orcish symbols. Beyond it lay the orc chieftain and the key to the next level of the dungeon. Finnan took a deep breath and slipped inside. Gromak's throne room was vast and dimly lit by flickering torches. The massive orc sat upon a throne made of bone and iron, gnawing on a hunk of meat as his glowing red eyes scanned the room. Around him, several orcish guards stood watch, their weapons drawn. But Finnan had planned for this. He carefully tossed a smoke bomb into the centre of the room. The smoke bomb burst, filling the air with a thick, choking fog. Finnan moved like a ghost through the confusion, slipping between the orcish guards as they stumbled and cursed, swinging blindly at shadows. But Gromak, the towering orc chieftain, was not so easily fooled. He stood, his massive axe in hand, roaring in fury. "Come out, little rat," Gromak bellowed. "Face me like a warrior." But Finnan was no warrior. He was a rogue, and rogues played by different rules. As the smoke began to thin, Finnan sized up his options. A direct fight was suicide. Gromak was easily twice his size, and the orcish guards were already beginning to recover. He needed a plan fast. His eyes darted to the iron chains hanging from the ceiling, once used to hold chandeliers. An idea sparked. Gromak was pacing back and forth now, looking for a target. Finnan quietly reached into his pouch, pulling out a small vial of oil. With a swift, practiced motion, he poured the oil across the stone floor between himself and the orc chieftain. "Is this how you fight?" Gromak snarled, his eyes narrowing as he spotted the halfling. "Hiding and running like a coward?" Finnan grinned. "Coward? Or just smarter than you?" Furious, Gromak charged, his massive boots pounding across the floor. But as soon as his foot hit the slick patch of oil, his balance faltered. The orc's momentum carried him forward, slipping and stumbling with a thunderous crash. His axe flew from his grip, clattering to the ground as he skidded, landing hard on his back. Before Gromak could recover, Finnan sprang into action. He darted forward, grabbed a length of chain from the ceiling, and quickly looped it around the chieftain's thick wrists, pulling it tight and latching it to an iron hook embedded in the floor. Gromak strained against the bonds, but the chain held firm. "You fight dirty, halfling!" Gromak spat, struggling to rise. Finnan shrugged, pocketing the key to the next level from the chieftain's belt. "Dirty? No, just clever. Brains over brawn, Gromak." The guards rushed toward Finnan, but he was already gone, disappearing into the shadows once more. Behind him, the orc chieftain bellowed in rage, but it was too late. Finnan had won without ever drawing his blade. With the key in hand, Finnan slipped through a hidden passageway, already thinking ahead to the next level.